You have Tom Brady as you need to explain yourself.
I was looking as, basically the board, and as those guys, I said, I think Tom Brady's definitely way ahead of those guys. But when I think about the production, particularly the consistency that I expect out of Tom Brady, he's got to be in my top five. I have him at number four because I look at what he did last year as a top 10 quarterback, and he had spent most of the, half the season at least trying to adjust to the offense. And then the other half of the, season, he's bringing different receivers, different targets to kind of utilize. And we've seen Tom Brady get better and better as the year went on. And then add to the fact that he did all that with an MCL tear that's been repaired off this offseason. I look at a guy who I think can very easily replicate what he did for the New England Patriots in 2017, where they tried to be an undefeated team, where he threw 50 touchdowns and over 5,000 yards. I expect Tampa Bay to be very effective offensively because they brought all their weapons back and then added a pass catcher in Giovani Bernard in the backfield as well, which I think Tom Brady will love having. So all those different things, I expected a jump in production from last year, and also a guy who's going to be more efficient and more effective overall.
I mean, I can't disagree with any of that on the surface here. And like I said, not that I hate Tom Brady. I think I have him as my QB7 as it stands right now. And by the way, my rankings are live for you guys to utilize for your drafts up on the Belly Up Fantasy Sports website for you. Just go to the rankings tab. You'll see the Danimator rankings there. I have it for half point, full point, and standard leagues all ready for you guys to go. I do have Tom Brady as my QB6, actually, so I have him just outside the top five. Like I said, I agree with everything you just said. The only reason I have him outside of that five range is look at the quarterbacks. I'll throw it up there again on the graph. Look at the quarterbacks I had in the top five. They all have rushing floors, and that's essentially what ends up being the cheat code for me as to why these guys get into the top five and edge out Brady. But I wouldn't be surprised if Brady was able to repeat a 40 touchdown performance based on the weapons that they have and the Bruce Arians system and everything to that nature. Chris, you have another one that's different from me, that you have another quarterback in the top five that I do not. This isn't going to be too much of a controversy. I think I'm actually more in the minority of not having this guy in the top five. But Chris, give me your case as to why Dak Prescott.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
State your case.
Case for Dak Prescott being the top three quarterback. Dak Prescott was the number one quarterback last year for the weeks that he played during the beginning of the season. Now, a big part of that was the defense was pathetic. It has improved a little bit, but people thinking about the yards, that he was the pace to do was over 1,000 yards. There's no way he's going to do that. I don't argue that, but I do argue that he won't be nearly inefficient in the touchdown production as he was at the beginning of the season. So while he was still number one quarterback, they weren't scoring touchdowns as a team, and he wasn't throwing touchdown passes. I expect this team to be very proficient on offense, perhaps one of the best offenses in the league. And as a result, I think between the legs of Dak Prescott and the arm of Dak Prescott and the weapons he has in place, he basically is one of the safer guys to me. I think he's got amazing upside, and I think that he's definitely, in my book, going to be one of the top three quarterbacks.
I don't disagree that he's a great quarterback. I don't disagree this is going to be one of the top offenses, and I don't disagree that he has a rushing floor. I do disagree on the touchdown aspect. He's always been inefficient when it comes to the touchdowns. The most touchdowns he's ever thrown was 30 in 2019. He actually has not been a guy who throws a ton of touchdowns, period. That's the only reason why he actually winds up outside of my top five compared to these other guys, because he, even with good weapons, hasn't proven to have that touchdown upside. Again, we're nitpicking here. This is our best five, and I don't want to get carried away. Dak Prescott, still an elite quarterback, still has potential to be a top three guy. I'm not disputing that in any capacity, but that is where I have him when I'm looking for variables and tiebreakers between a lot of these guys, because the margins are very, very close. He doesn't have the same touchdown rate as a lot of these other elite quarterbacks.
I think his touchdown rate is closer to. Kyler Murray might have more rushing touchdowns and rushing yards overall.
That's the key, yeah.
But I do think that offense isn't nearly as consistent or nearly as effective. And I also think Dak Prescott's going to benefit from the fact that a lot of people expect CeeDee Lamb to be even better this year. Mari Cooper should be healthy going into this year. He wasn't healthy. People kind of forget that last year that he went into the season with a foot injury. So you have two guys who basically one of the more explosive receivers, and you add a Michael Gallup, you add a Jarwin, you add a Schultz, and you have a Tony Pollard, you have a Zeke Elliott who looks more explosive. Overall, I just think that what he has at his disposal, he might just fall into touchdowns or have a lot more big plays, and that's where I'm kind of really excited about Dak Prescott.